In this video, we're gonna be going over how to hit a better penultimate. Do you want to take your training to the next level? Download the Jacked Javelin mobile app, where you have access to dozens of free resources that cover topics such as nutrition, arm care, mobility, plyometrics, and most importantly, javelin technique. We also have our free community, which connects thousands of throwers from all around the world to communicate and help each other out. You will also have the option to purchase one of our training programs written directly by me with video demonstrations of each exercise telling you exactly how many sets and reps to do, as well as the option to track your metrics so you can keep track of your progress. See you on the inside. So the big thing about the penultimate is making sure we understand the concept of how to do it. So as a right-handed thrower, what I'm going to establish is having an active block side and a passive throwing side. So before the actual back foot contact and block, we are setting up with the penultimate. So leading into the penultimate, our block leg and our lead arm is going to be reaching out, and then we are pulling down like this, okay? So the lead leg pulls down, so we pull and slap the ground. Our lead arm is going to come across our body, and as we go here, the back side is going to drive up and forward. So we want to go active with the front side, and then sweep through and drive through with the back side here, okay? It's very similar to when you're going up for a dunk, right? As a right-handed dunker, you're dribbling a basketball, you pop up off your left foot, and then you drive your right knee up into the air, and you dunk with your right hand, okay? It's very similar to that movement, except we are going more linear rather than vertical. It's all about coming in with that approach, gathering, exploding into the final movement. For us, the final movement will be the penultimate and throw. As a dunker or a basketball player, you're dribbling up, you're gathering, you're hitting your leg into the ground, driving up with your opposite side, and then dunking. So once you establish the active and passive or pulling and sweeping of the penultimate, we are going to get into the body positions. So if you've seen all the other videos in my free course, you've probably seen the 3-position drill a couple of times. But what we're gonna be doing here is we are going to be focusing on our lower body and our arm working in sync with one another. So with the 3-position drill, we are starting with the right leg up and the left arm across the body, because this is the midpoint of the penultimate. So when we get to here, this is the first position, okay? So imagine we're pulling down and sweeping across, and then after we get that pulling down and sweeping across movement, we're starting in position 1, and then going to back foot contact, which is position 2, and then we're rolling into position 3, which is the block and the throw. When we're looking at that, we're making sure that our back leg is up and our lead arm is across our body. And then when we move into position 2, which is back foot contact, we bring the lead arm out in front of us with the block leg reaching out. And then when we go to position 3, we're internally rotating the back hip and coming down strong, active with the lead arm and the block leg. So we got penultimate, back foot contact, block. Okay, so that's the same thing with the penultimate. Is we're gonna be here, 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 okay? One more time, here, here, here. And then that is allowing us to go from being closed off to being open at the right time. What's very important to note about the lead arm is that the throwing arm mirrors the lead arm. So if we hit the block and we are here, our lead arm is too far across our body, so then we need to rip open with the lead arm. Then that causes the throwing arm to rip around to the side. We want to keep the lead arm long so we can roll the lead arm long, and then because the throwing arm mirrors the lead arm, when we roll the lead arm down, we will then roll the throwing arm up here, okay? And that's how we get our armpit to the sky and roll under the javelin and throw over the top. Another big key with the 3-position drill is making sure when we land on that back foot contact that we're landing soft on the back foot so we can internally rotate properly into the block. Okay, so when you hit your penultimate, you never want to land flat-footed like that. We want to make sure that we land squatty on the back foot so that we can rotate forward, okay? So we're going 1, 2, 3. okay? So internally rotate that back hip and make sure you're staying on the ball of your foot on the back foot contact. Next, we are going to use a medicine ball in a low box, preferably about 4 to 5 inches off the ground. What this is gonna do is this is really gonna help us establish that rhythm of pulling down on the box and then launching our back foot forward. And then when we land, it's gonna force us to land in that soft back foot contact, because what we're doing is, since we're pulling down on an elevation, we are then landing into back foot contact at a deficit, and then we're internally rotating the back hip going into the block. So what this really does is this just helps us be tall as we hit, and then make sure that we're driving that back foot forward and getting through the penultimate. One of my favorite ways to practice getting a more explosive penultimate is by doing the gallop drill. So what we're doing is, instead of a normal crossover drill where we're working on just the crossovers and then hitting a penultimate at the end, we are doing penultimate, 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 penultimate continuously. So we're constantly working on that pulling and sweeping action of that active front side and then that passive back side. So we're pulling with the front leg, sweeping through with the right, continuous, continuous, continuous. Big key here is when we're pulling down the front leg, we want to sweep through with the back leg like that. Okay, a lot of people will kind of go here with the heel click. We want to avoid the heel click, or we want to avoid just side shuffling. We want to make sure that we're crossing this back foot over to the front. Now we're going to be doing the same gallop drill, but we're adding 3 wickets so that we are progressively getting bigger with each gallop, each rep. So we're gonna do 1 rep before the wicket, and then 1 over, and then 2, and then 3, okay? So it's gonna be about 4 total reps, and we're just making sure that we use the first one to set ourselves up, and then try to get bigger as we're building speed and momentum. The wickets here are going to give you a focal point to make sure that you're getting the proper height and distance with each penultimate. So now, after we establish that feeling with the gallop drill and with the gallop drill with wickets, we are going to do the gallop drill with a throw out of it. So we practice pulling down that front side and sweeping through with that back side, getting a nice level linear penultimate and getting a nice throw out of it. Thanks for tuning into this video. I hope you learned something, and be sure to check out our other video where we talk about how to train the lower body for a more explosive penultimate.